Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Napoleon, and today we're back on another Enlisted video, and today we're going to be talking about the 1st Marine Carrier, Group 1. And this is obviously the latest Enlisted Fire Attack Squad that we have been given as an event squad, so that's going to be very interesting. Unlike the other squad, which was a Japanese 086M3, this is an American F4F, or according to the game, I don't know what's it called, but apparently in real life, this is essentially the Wildcat. And unlike Zero, once again, it has 2 H4s and 1 drop tank. But that's it. Without further ado, this video has been made possible for the friends at Discord. Meaning if you haven't liked, subscribe, or joined the Discord, I highly suggest that you do, and let's get started. In terms of the history, the Carrier Air Group 1 has been extensive longer than any naval carrier air wing except for the Carrier Air Wing 3. Both were established on July 1st, 1938. Since its establishment on July 1st, the CVW-1 has served aboard 20 different aircraft carriers, made 42 major developments, and a majority of the East Coast squadrons and members of the Navy first and foremost. The CVW-1 was organized the Ranger Air Group, serving in the USS Ranger until the early years of the carrier aviation. The air group also operated on board other 3 carriers at commission of that time, which includes the USS Langley, the Lexington, and the Saratoga. During World War II and until 1943, the air wings participated in the North African campaign, operating in all Atlantic and Pacific. On 3rd of August 1943, the Ranger Air Group was then redesignated Carrier Air Group 4, CVG-4, and CVG-1 was reformed along the USS Bennington. It saw action against Japan from the Philippines to Tokyo, to earning 2 Presidential Unit citations in addition to having the most matured many naval aviation heroes. It also served in the Suez Crisis, Vietnam, Libya, Gulf War, and currently is still active in 2023. But that said, that is a lot of history. Let's move on to performance. The F4F4 Wildcat was an improvised version of the F4F3. The main improvements were the addition of 3 pairs of wing-mounted 50 cal machine guns for a total of 6 machine guns, and a Grumman STR wing system, which allowed the outer wing to fold inwards of the hinges. This will in theory allow 5 Wildcats to be stored in the place that 2 will be taken up, but it doesn't really quite work in actuality, especially not on an actual carrier. After entering service in 1941, the F4F replaced the earlier F3 Wildcats in many squadrons, but the VMF 211 at the Battle of Midway in 1942. As such, the F4F was the main fighter aircraft in service during the early part of the war, including the Battle of Midway. Many pilots disliked the F4F because, despite having 2 more machine guns, the F4F had the same amount of ammunition as earlier models. The 1,800 rounds of ammunition has been dispersed between many guns, and the F4F3 had a total of 450 rounds per gun, but the F4F4 has 240, increasing the fire rate by almost 50%. The extra gun almost added per Royal Navy request. Additionally, the extra gun and folding wings increased the weight and therefore decreased performance. The F4F4 has a lower top speed and climb rate than the F4F3, as well as the folding wings only allowed such increase of the F4F Wildcat and Carrier's wing. Only about 50% much lower than they hoped, meaning that they actually didn't carry a lot more, but it was still used. To give you some context in terms of its usage, the Royal Navy first used it and saw action with it during Christmas Day against a down Ju-88, which, yes, like I said, was down. It also served massively on the Pacific and the Atlantic fronts. But that said, let's move on to the stats. The FP5, or essentially the F4F4 Wildcat, has 1 drop tank, about 150 liters, 4 H4 rockets, and 6 M2 Browning machine guns with about 2,400 ammunition, maximum climb speed of 648.71, maximum climb rate of 20.62, and best full turn time second of 16.13. As of right now, the perks that you guys have is one of the best. I would not suggest you changing it. In terms of recaps, should you get this plane? And the answer is yes, yes, yes. This is the best plane as of right now in terms of the Allies for the Pacific. As a matter of fact, the H4s is already telling enough. For those who don't know, H4s are very, very devastating. Case in point, look at the MA rockets on the P-38, and the H4 is just an upgraded version of that. What I'm trying to say is that this thing can actually kill anything within a hit. Or that is also translated to, if you can hit the thing with H4, then the thing is pretty much dead. The 12.7 machine guns can also shred any aircraft out of sight, since 6 machine guns is very, very terrifying. The fuel tank is also good, but it really is mostly depends on the situation and depends on the timing of your drop. It can actually clear out choke points or hold choke points. Unlike the Zero, the F4F, or should I say the FP5, has no bomb, but it does have HVARs. And like I said with the Zero in my last video, it is carrier based, which is a double-edged sword, since you, as a carrier, you can launch off the carrier, but it doesn't mean you can go into combat immediately. And on the other hand, you can just refuel and rearm using the carrier, so that's going to be interesting. Needless to say, in order to recap the entire video, which is right here, should you be using it? And the answer is yes. Not only does it have 6 machine guns, which are amazing, it also has the bloody HVARs, which are amazing. One hit with any of these can kill infantry, can kill tanks. Anything that the Japanese have as of right now, in terms of tanks, it can kill. It can one-shot off the face of the earth. And that is the HVARs for you. It's very, very good. I knew that this thing, before I even used it, it was going to be overpowered, and it did not disappoint. But that's it. That's all it for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Discord, and I'll see you in the next one.